Rain lashed against the windows of Blackthorn Hall, a melody of nature against the silent behemoth of Gothic architecture that sat atop the desolate hill. The relentless wind carried whispers of old tales and legends through the dark forest surrounding the mansion. Tall, pointed arches cast eerie shadows, and the stone gargoyles seemed to watch with an almost lifelike intensity. Inside the hall was vast and dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of age and secrets long kept. Candles flickered, their flames dancing to the rhythm of the storm outside, casting a soft glow over the antique furnishings. Miss Agatha, an elderly woman with piercing grey eyes and a stern expression, moved with purpose through the hallways. Her steps were silent but deliberate, and she clutched an old leather-bound book to her chest. A loud knock echoed through the mansion, startling Miss Agatha and causing the candles to flicker momentarily. The knock was out of place, unexpected. Visitors were rare, especially on nights such as this. With a sigh of resignation, Miss Agatha made her way to the grand entrance, pulling open the heavy oak door. There, drenched by the rain and looking quite out of place, stood a young man. His attire was that of nobility, albeit worn and mud-streaked. His eyes, a deep shade of blue, held a mixture of desperation and hope. "I beg your pardon, madam," he began, his voice raspy from the cold. "I am Sir Damien. I've travelled from afar, and the storm has made it impossible to go any further. Might I seek shelter here for the night?" Miss Agatha studied him for a moment, weighing the risks. But there was something about his eyes, a genuine plea that softened her usual guarded demeanour. "Come in," she said grudgingly. "But know that Blackthorn Hall is no ordinary place, especially on nights like these." Sir Damien stepped inside, relief evident on his face. "I am in your debt, madam. My journey has been fraught with misfortune, to say the least." As the door closed behind him, muffling the sounds of the storm, Sir Damien couldn't help but feel a shift in the atmosphere, a feeling of being watched, of histories unfolding and secrets lurking in the shadows. Yet there was also an undeniable pull, an allure to the mysteries of Blackthorn Hall, and as he followed Miss Agatha further into the mansion, he knew his stay would be anything but ordinary. As Sir Damien followed Miss Agatha through the winding corridors of Blackthorn Hall, the air grew colder, a sharp contrast to the warmth of his welcome. Gargoyles and grotesque statues seemed to leer at him from the shadows, their stony eyes unsettlingly animated. The corridor ended abruptly, revealing a large wooden door, ornate in its design, with an emblem of a wolf bathed in moonlight. Miss Agatha paused, her hand hesitating over the door handle. "Sir Damien," she began, her voice a touch softer. "Blackthorn Hall holds many secrets. I urge you to be cautious during your stay." Before Sir Damien could respond, the door swung open, revealing a sumptuously furnished drawing room. Rich tapestries hung on the walls, depicting scenes of nature in harmonious coexistence with mythical creatures. A large fireplace crackled at one end of the room, its flames casting dancing shadows that brought the room's artifacts to life. Seated by the fireplace, engrossed in an old leather-bound book, was a woman whose beauty seemed otherworldly. Her raven-black hair contrasted with her alabaster skin, and as she looked up, her piercing green eyes met Sir Damien's, holding him in a trance. "Ah, Sir Damien, our unexpected guest," she said with a faint smile, her voice melodious. "I am Lady Evelyn." He bowed, finding his voice after a moment's pause. "It's an honour, Lady Evelyn." She gestured for him to sit. As the evening wore on, the conversation flowed effortlessly, ranging from tales of Sir Damien's travels to the history of Blackthorn Hall. Yet, throughout the discussion, Sir Damien couldn't shake off a feeling of being watched, of hidden eyes observing his every move. As the clock chimed midnight, a soft, haunting howl echoed through the hall, momentarily overshadowing their conversation. Lady Evelyn's face paled, and Miss Agatha rushed to the window, drawing the heavy velvet drapes closed. The room was plunged into an uneasy silence, the secrets of Blackthorn Hall looming larger than ever. Sir Damien, sensing that he was now part of a mystery much greater than he had anticipated, steeled himself for the days ahead. The evening wore on. and the storm outside intensified. The windows rattled and the trees howled, adding to the ambience within Blackthorn Hall. As Sir Damien sat across from Lady Evelyn, an uncanny silence draped the room. The only sound that could be heard was the crackling of the fire and the occasional turn of a page from Lady Evelyn's book. Blackthorn Hall is an ancient place, Lady Evelyn began, breaking the silence. Its roots go deep, and with it come tales that many would rather forget. Sir Damien leaned forward, intrigued. Tales? What kind of tales? A shadow seemed to pass over Lady Evelyn's eyes. Tales of love, betrayal, curses, and redemption. This hall has witnessed countless lifetimes and holds the memories within its walls. Miss Agatha entered the room, placing a tray of tea and biscuits on the table. Her stern face seemed even more etched with lines of worry. "It is not our place to speak of such things, my lady," she cautioned. Lady Evelyn smiled wistfully. "True, Agatha. But every tale yearns to be told, and every secret longs to be uncovered." Sir Damien sipped his tea, its warmth doing little to dispel the chill he felt. "I'm no stranger to tales of woe and wonder. My own family has a history that many would find unsettling." The two women exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. "Perhaps," Lady Evelyn began, "we are more alike than it seems, Sir Damien." The night deepened, and with it, the trio delved into tales of their respective pasts. The boundaries of time seemed to blur as stories of ancient love affairs, dark betrayals, and haunting curses filled the room. Yet, amid the tales, there was one story that Lady Evelyn hesitated to share, a tale tied to the very heart of Blackthorn Hall. As the hours passed, Sir Damien felt a connection forming, not just to the enigmatic Lady Evelyn but to the hall itself. The place seemed alive, its walls echoing with whispers of the past. By the time the first rays of dawn began to creep over the horizon, Sir Damien knew that his stay at Blackthorn Hall was destined to be more than just a refuge from a storm. There was a mystery here, and he was inexorably drawn to uncover it. As days turned to nights, the storm outside showed no sign of relenting. Inside Blackthorn Hall, however, the atmosphere began to shift. Sir Damien, initially a mere guest, had now become an intrinsic part of the hall's daily life. During the day, he would often be found exploring the vast expanse of the hall, sometimes in the company of Miss Agatha, who shared stories of the mansion's history, each more intriguing than the last. But it was the evenings, in Lady Evelyn's company, that he anticipated the most. Their bond deepened with every passing moment, conversations lasting hours, and silences speaking volumes. On one fateful evening, as Sir Damien returned to his chamber, he noticed something peculiar. The usually vigilant Miss Agatha seemed uneasy, constantly glancing at the night sky, observing the moon's phases. "Is something the matter, Miss Agatha?" Sir Damien inquired, sensing her discomfort. She hesitated, her gaze lingering on the almost full moon. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "is the night of the full moon." Sir Damien, puzzled by her anxiety, probed further, but Miss Agatha's lips remained sealed. That night, as the world outside lay enveloped in darkness, a mournful howl echoed through Blackthorn Hall. Startled, Sir Damien rushed to his window, peering into the expansive gardens. The sight that met his eyes was one he would never forget, a magnificent yet terrifying beast, illuminated by the moon's silvery glow, pacing the grounds restlessly. As the creature moved, something about it seemed hauntingly familiar. Its eyes, a brilliant shade of emerald, bore into his soul, evoking an emotion he couldn't quite place. Drawing the curtains, Sir Damien's mind raced. The howl, the beast, Miss Agatha's words. It all began to weave a tapestry of realization. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, but the complete picture was one he was hesitant to confront. He decided to seek answers, and there was only one person in Blackthorn Hall who could provide them: Lady Evelyn. But as he approached her chamber, the door ajar, he noticed it was empty. Her bed untouched and the window wide open, curtains billowing with the night's chilly wind. A sinking feeling settled in Sir Damian's heart. The mystery of Blackthorn Hall was unravelling, and he was at its very epicentre. Morning broke, yet the events of the previous night hung heavy in the air. Sir Damian, having spent a restless night, decided to confront Miss Agatha. Her knowledge of the hall and its dark secrets was unparalleled, and he hoped she held the answers to the unsettling mysteries he had witnessed. He found her in the library, amidst old tomes and ancient scrolls. The room was thick with the scent of aged paper and ink. Miss Agatha, sensing his presence, looked up from her reading, her eyes weary. "You've seen it, haven't you?" she began, voice trembling. "The beast, Miss Agatha. Was it—" Sir Damian hesitated, struggling to find the right words. "Was it Lady Evelyn?" The elderly caretaker took a deep breath, her fingers tracing the ornate patterns of the book in her lap. "The curse of Blackthorn Hall is old, Sir Damian, older than you or I can fathom. It was a punishment, passed down through generations, and now it haunts our dear Lady Evelyn." The weight of Miss Agatha's words settled upon Sir Damian. He recalled the tales they had shared, the hint of sorrow in Lady Evelyn's eyes whenever the moon was mentioned. "There must be a way to break this curse," he declared, determination evident in his voice. Miss Agatha, however, looked sceptical. "Many have tried, Sir Damian. All have failed. The curse demands a ritual, one that requires true love's sacrifice." As the day progressed, Sir Damian immersed himself in the library's texts, searching for any reference to the curse and its antidote. Hours turned into days, and with every scroll he read, a piece of the ritual became clear. By Lady Evelyn's next transformation, they would be ready. The night of the full moon arrived, and Blackthorn Hall was abuzz with activity. Miss Agatha had gathered the necessary artifacts, while Sir Damian recited the incantations he had discovered. As the clock struck midnight, Lady Evelyn, standing in the centre of a moonlit circle drawn in the grand hall, began her painful transformation. However, this time she was not alone. Sir Damian, holding her hand, chanted the incantations, the words enveloping them in a golden glow. The climax of the ritual drew near, and Sir Damian, understanding the true meaning of sacrifice, confessed his deepest feelings for Lady Evelyn, vowing to stand by her, come what may. As the final words left his lips, a blinding light filled the hall. When it faded, there, in the centre of the circle, stood Lady Evelyn, untouched by the curse, with Sir Damian by her side. The curse of Blackthorn Hall had been broken, not by magic or ancient rites, but by the pure, unwavering love of a man for a woman trapped by her ancestry's sins. Blackthorn Hall, once a place of whispered secrets and haunting mysteries, began to transform. As weeks turned into months, the shadow that had long loomed over the mansion began to dissipate, replaced by a warmth that permeated its very stones. The walls, once cold and unyielding, seemed to embrace the new light that filtered through its windows. The once desolate gardens bloomed with vibrant colours, and the air was filled with the sweet melodies of birds that had long avoided the place. The hall, under the care of Lady Evelyn and Sir Damian, became a beacon of hope for the surrounding lands, symbolising rebirth and redemption. Miss Agatha, witnessing the transformation, felt a burden lift from her shoulders, a burden she had carried for much of her life. She began to record the true history of Blackthorn Hall, ensuring that the tales of sorrow were accompanied by the story of love that had broken the age-old curse. Sir Damian and Lady Evelyn, bound by love and shared experiences, dedicated themselves to the betterment of the land and its people. They hosted feasts, extended their hospitality to travellers, and ensured that the less fortunate were cared for. The hall became a place of gathering, where stories were shared, and laughter echoed through its corridors. The tales of the curse became legends, told to wide-eyed children on stormy nights. But now, they always ended on a note of hope, emphasising the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. Years passed, and as the seasons changed, the legacy of Blackthorn Hall stood firm, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its inhabitants and the love story that had rewritten its destiny. And so, In the heart of the once foreboding forest, atop the hill that had witnessed countless tales, Blackthorn Hall stood tall, not as a monument to the past, but as a beacon for the future, shining bright and undiminished.